Welcome to episode 13. And in this episode, we talk to a man who's been known as the modern age black and white master of photography. He's known for his beauty, fashion, and fetish work, and live streams a lot of his shoots for all to see on YouTube. Can learn a lot there, mate. And he holds workshops all across the globe, and man, it just looks like he's having the best damn time of all and living that dream. Welcome, the uber-talented Peter Coulson. Peter, welcome to the show, and thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome, Peter. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me.
Well, I hope that
intro, though, Peter, that intro.
It was a pretty big intro. It's a little bit too much for me.
Spoiled, man. Spoiled.
Yeah, I wrote that, I don't know, about 10 minutes ago. No, I didn't. No. It was written before then.
On the bath, on the toilet, yeah.
Now, Peter, before we get into the questions, is the first one we always ask our guests, and that is, because our audience is very varied. Some of them are very experienced, some of them are amateur, some of them are in between, some are enthusiasts. So we have quite a wide range. Now, for our audience, how would you describe yourself and what you do?
I'm a professional amateur, which takes pictures of eyes in black and white.
Oh, okay.
In black and white.
Okay. Black and white landscape orientation as well.
Yeah, that's one hell of a answer, isn't it?
In the early days, I used to tilt my camera, but I spent a lot of my life shooting a 503, and you didn't tilt that thing. And because I shoot Hasselblad most of the time, it feels like a 503 and doesn't feel like you should tilt it. But it more comes back to when I look at the pictures, portraits aren't what our eyes see. Our eyes see landscape, so I prefer to shoot in the same perspective of what our eyes see. Imagine portrait TVs.
Interesting. That is the best explanation I've had of that. That's brilliant. I love that. Well done.
That's absolutely bang on.
I mean, I disagree, but
my clients can always cut anything I do into portrait. So
true.
Yeah.
Let's not worry about taking advantage of that full sensor size, and it's not needed. Is it, Peter? Just throw it away. Throw it away. So, Peter, how long have you been let's get some background on you first. How long have you been a commercial photographer?
Commercial out on my own, most likely about 23 years.
Okay. Longer than I said yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, for a while I was working for some magazines. I was contracted to them, so I wasn't on wages. I can't work for a boss. So for about five years I'd worked for myself since I was about 25 in other businesses that I built up. But I worked for these magazines, and it was 5 or 6 years there. Then I made the break, decided I didn't like shooting fishermen and four-wheel drivers and that stuff anymore. I wanted to shoot fashion, and I knew heaps about it by following fishermen around for 5 years. But
yeah,
that's another whole story. But I have a background when I was young. I used to collect Vogue magazines. I think that implanted something at a very young age in my eyes. So, and I always watch really messed up movies. So that's my fetish and Helmut Newton side of me. So.
Okay, yeah, we're going to dive into that a bit later on in the questions as well, because that's interesting.
But I originally took the plunge. I said to my wife, we're going to go broke. I want to be a fashion photographer. And I stopped working for magazines. I got a little studio and just shot anything, weddings, parties, everything. It didn't matter what, if it paid me money. But I tried to make sure that I always, if I did 20 hours of stuff I hated, I had to do 10 hours of stuff I love.
And you've always been over there in Australia?
Always lived in Australia, yeah. But these days I tend to spend 6 months in Australia and 6 months on airplanes.
Yeah. We see that as well. Okay, so let's get the not so important thing out the way first. Let's get the gear question out of the way. What do you shoot with? Because we know you shoot Hassie because you're a Hassie ambassador as well, aren't you? So, but what else do you shoot with apart from that?
I shoot with a Sony. I've got the A7R III. We have a few because we use a few video cameras. We've got the S, we've got the A7R II, we've got 6500s, we've got some RXs. We find them really, really handy for our own educational work, and as well as I do a fair bit of commercial work doing video these days too. And I just tell everyone that I shoot my videos on the A7s. If you want something better than that, find someone else. Because I want to shoot it more portable. I want to shoot it the way I shoot stills, and then they get my look the same way as I get my stills. So it's pretty much the gear I have. I do use very good lenses. I am also a Zeiss ambassador, but I was using all my gear I was using before I was ambassadors. If you're going to become an ambassador, you don't go to a company and say, hey, I like your cameras, make me ambassador, give me all your stuff.
Give me that kit.
And pretty much Hasselblad, I had my full kit. They didn't give me anything when I became an ambassador. And same with Zeiss. I already had 3 Otis lenses. And I had the full range of Batis at the time and a couple of others. So I do like putting really good glass on the Sonys, but also do like some of the old nickel plates. Zeiss sort of feels more filmy, so I tend to use them as well.
Mm-hmm. Nice touch. Yeah. So you don't have this gear acquisition syndrome, then, the gas that people talk about a lot. You're not just piling lots of camera gear in. You stick to your roots.
I got too much gear as it is, but the thing is, I do say, look, I can take a great picture with a phone, and it's not I'm not being a wanker. I just that I know what to do to get a nice picture. But the toys that make me feel good when I take photos, it doesn't make the picture better. It makes me feel better as I'm working, which means I will take better pictures.
Yeah, it's the right way round. Yeah, definitely the right way round. Yes, a lot of people definitely got that process the wrong way round, haven't they? Think that if they have the most expensive, biggest camera in the world, they'll take the biggest, best photographs in the world, when we all know it's not true. 100%.
Yeah, well, it's this megapixel war I absolutely hate, even though I own a 50 and 100 megapixel. I would have loved Hasselblad's new X to have come out as a 40 megapixel and have better quality pixels and shoot faster.
Yeah, well said. Yeah.
I don't need 90% of the time. I don't need my file size.
Nobody needs it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's getting crazy, isn't it? And I noticed Sony just released their A7 IV, whatever it is,
60 something,
60 something in a
63. Yeah.
Crazy, isn't it? Crazy. But left it with the same old video. Good old Sony. So going back.
Where's the S?
Fuji shooter in the room, everybody. Fuji shooter in the room.
No, that was directed at people with the Sonys. I feel sorry for them, because they bring out a new camera and they've put better quality features in the megapixels for still side, but on the video side they've actually up to nothing at all. And a lot of video guys are going, man, can we have 4K 60? And you've still got 4K 30. So yeah, for $3.5 grand for a body, I can understand that anguish. I'm not a Sony shooter, so it doesn't bother me at all. So you got all your own lights and stuff there in your own studio. Beautiful studio. I was just looking at pictures of your place on your website last night. Beautiful space you've got there, and you shoot all Broncolor, is that right?
No, I was originally mainly Broncolor, and it's mainly because my very first light I ever brought from was a company which distributed Broncolor in Australia. So as I grew as a photographer, I started off with Visitex. And yeah, as I got bigger and bigger and had clients, I was doing a bit of commercial work for motorcycle magazines. I was doing a bit of still life, and I needed to be very accurate with color temperatures, no matter what the power of the pack was running. So I might have run one channel at 9, one channel at 5, and one channel at 0.1, but I need to get as close as I could with equal color. Sorry, that is tea, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Oh sure, yeah.
We're Aussies.
Show us that in low light.
Always.
I
always drink my tea with ice cubes and an umbrella. Yeah, no, it's true.
That's not even ice cube. That's not even an ice cube, is it, Peter? That's like it's like a snowball.
it's a freaking.
What the hell's that?
The Titanic.
Yeah,
it's a big ball. It melts really slowly, so it doesn't make my whiskey go watery. Anyway.
Oh, or the tea.
Or the tea, yeah. Where was I talking before the dogs barked? What was I?
Broncolor.
Broncolor.
Yeah, Broncolor.
So I've still got started off shooting Broncolor, and I've got like 6 graphite packs, A4s, and 4 Scoros, the A4s. Like it's a lot of gear I've got. I added up my gear not long ago, and my studio gear is about $250,000 worth of lighting. But more and more, I've been shooting Pro Photo a lot. I'm loving what they're doing with their new lights. The A's, the B's, and the D's are like when I travel now. That new B10, I think it's called, it's B12 or something. I'm hopeless with numbers.
B10, yeah.
That is
Interesting.
That is incredible because I can use it. I can shoot with flash, and I can just throw it onto LED and get the same effect with a constant that I was getting with flash, which means I can actually quickly swap over into a video and replicate exactly what I was getting with flash outside on set.
Yeah.
And whenever I'm working out on the streets, I like to have a very small footprint. So I tend to have one person near me, that's it. Anybody else involved is normally a block away. So I need lights that I can just really quickly and easily use. So, but I travel the world with Pro Photo at the moment. I've got normally carry 2 lights, and that allows me to work commercially anywhere in the world, normally in Airbnbs.
Yeah, nice, yeah.
True. Yeah.
Nice.
So you're not sponsored by Broncolor then?
No, I've never been. I've done work, like they've sponsored me. So a lot of my previous tours, Broncolor would sponsor me in a way of they would always have their gear at any studio we're at.
Yeah, of course.
It just started getting too hard. We end up having to pick it up and drop it off. And when we fly in one day and fly out the next, it was getting near impossible. So it was easier for us just to say no. And now I've got the flexibility to use what I want. So if I had Broncolor sponsoring us, it meant I couldn't pull out a Pro Photo anywhere on the trip, but I didn't have a Broncolor that was suitable for doing what I was trying to do. So it was look, being ambassadors is good, but it's not always that great. It limits you sometimes to what you can do, and that's why most of the time now I say no to companies. I say, look, I use your gear, you're getting free advertising, it's not costing you a cent.
Yeah, fair enough.
For sure.
Yeah, I see both sides of that for sure, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you got to love the battery systems nowadays, haven't you? The technology in lighting is just advancing at a great rate and making things so much easier for travel, for sure.
Oh, and in the studio, so many times
No
now,
cables.
No cables. You can just quickly move stuff everywhere. And when our trolleys and everything else is on wheels, we don't have to worry about moving cables and unplugging stuff.
Yeah, I'm the same. I mean, I use what would be the Godox systems over here, the AD600 Pros, and they're they got the AD400s, which are like your B series in a Pro Photo, and then they got these little tiny AD200s, which are they fit in your camera bag with your camera. They're awesome. 200 watt seconds out of that, and you can change the bulbs and the heads on the end of them as well. They just clip on.
Yeah,
sounds really, awesome. Really awesome setup. Yeah. Used one in my last workshop. It works so well, and shot all day with all my attendees as well.
It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah.
Tiny little thing. Okay, so Peter, just going back, did you originally come from a photography background, or were you involved in sound before you became a photographer, or in sound as well as a photographer?
I was predominantly a musician going up through school. I was in a working band at the age of 15. I was still at school, but I was playing 3 nights a week and earning more money then than you could ever earn in music in pubs in Australia now. You're lucky to even get a door deal at a pub in Australia.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, we were doing well. We built up bands. We had 16 in our road crew and did stuff like that. But I got given a little Instamatic camera when I was really young, and I always wanted to take shots of bands, and it sort of just built from there. And my parents didn't want me to be a muso bum, so they said, well, you like your photography, do a photography school. But that only lasted...
Wow, photography was the lesser of two evils there.
Yeah, until I got kicked out 1 month later.
Yeah.
1 month.
1 month, yeah. I didn't know at the time. I only found out in the last sort of 10, 15 years I'm dyslexic, so that's why I have troubles learning the normal way, and I just couldn't handle the school. I would say, but why? And the lecturer would say, because. So I was learning nothing. So I kept on saying, but why, until they kicked me out. Parents let me go into sound engineering, and the first lecture I said, but why? And the lecturer said, see that door there? Go in, try it, come back and tell us.
Nice.
And
Okay.
and in music, there's no rules. A snare drum can sound like a basketball one day, or it can sound like a piece of cardboard. There's no rules. It's whatever the actual
No.
engineer is trying to create. And photography, and I've got a big answer about this, and I'm fairly strong about this now in all my workshops, is photography, especially since digital has come in, has got all these ridiculous rules. And nobody can tell me who made this a rule, because there's no rules in art. It's the creator creates, and what the creator wants to. If you paint a white canvas white, you can still hang that in a gallery.
True. Yeah, I've seen that.
But a photographer's going to go in there and say you've lost detail in your whites.
Brilliant.
Yeah, valid point.
Right, an artist is going to
No, I
walk in
completely
and say,
agree with
"That's
you.
cool."
Well said. Yeah.
Yeah, we're almost getting too clinical, aren't we? Especially in the commercial world, too clinical and governed by rule and conformed to standards. Yeah.
Well, I see a lot of young people aiming for a very homogenous, very vanilla look of what makes a perfect image, and like the idea of a perfect image being, you know, in focus, correctly exposed, white balance. That has nothing to do with what a great image looks like. If you choose any great image, the first thing you think of, oh, that's correctly exposed. I love the white balance on that. It's just not true, you know.
I have a thing I do at the start of all my workshops. I have a little spiel I do, and I say, you'll go out, you'll shoot 800 frames now. If you're in shooting film, you might have shot 30, but in digital, we shoot 800. You'll go back, you'll throw it into Lightroom or throw it into Photo Mechanic. You'll see a thumbnail, you go, I love that. You click on it, you drag it into your raw convert, you zoom in 100% on the eye, and it's not sharp, so you throw it in the rubbish bin. 1 second ago, it was the best frame of the day.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, true.
So then I go to the next part of the story is if you think about it, to a photographer, the most important thing is focus on the eye. Nobody can tell me why the eye has to be in focus, but that's where everyone wants it. Focus on the eye. The second most important thing is exposure in color. And the least most important thing is the subject. I think something's wrong way around. If you think about an amazing subject slightly out of focus with a bad color balance, it's still an amazing picture.
True. Yeah, very true. Yeah, very true. Yeah.
And if you look at photo awards today, photo awards, camera clubs, all these 500 pic sites, all of that, it's all like CGI. It's like computer generated images. They've got no soul. Everything is just perfect, but there's nothing. They're hollow. You'd never hang them on a wall. Photographers will sit there and go, oh, I like that, but they'll never pay for it. So how are you going to make a living out of making pictures that camera club photographers like?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good point.
Yeah, I think we're very guilty of taking pictures for other photographers, and overlooking who the audience actually is, for sure.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. So in your early days, Peter, when you started out, which photographers, I know you mentioned Helmut Newton, which photographers were your inspiration? And likewise, are there any creatives in or outside of photography that excite you?
Tarantino, Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd.
Nice. Okay.
Dead Mouse used to, but he got very political and too much time on Twitch.
Right.
Yeah. Look, anybody. I think the people that really inspire me are people that have a style and a look and stick by it, regardless of what the world does. You know, they don't try and be in vogue. They're just in vogue because they do what they do. And you look at Avedon and Penn and Helmut Newton, of course, Patrick G. Michelia, because I love how he gets the soul out of someone. He doesn't give a rat's about focus. He doesn't care one iota because it's not about the focus. And more, I'm purposely defocusing pictures because it adds more mood. I just finished editing a editorial today, and there's 12 pictures for the editorial. 6 of them, the eyes are soft, but the mood is to die for. The actual, because they're low-key, backlit, that's a girl in a dress in a bath, and it's all this mood and emotion, and it's the water movements which make the picture. And it's if the eyes were razor sharp, I would have taken away from the story I was trying to tell. I think, yeah, it's like Nick Knight. Nick Knight's incredible. You look at him worldwide, hardly anybody even knows him, but he just sticks to what he
look
does.
What he was doing 30 years ago, it's incredible.
Yeah. So I just appreciate, and it mightn't be my cup of tea, but I appreciate creatives that get out of the box and have a style. They don't try and do what's in vogue today. They normally set vogue.
Commercially, obviously, we're governed by clients and things, and we have parameters, which or lines that we can't go beyond. And like me, coming from quite a heavy commercial world, I find that sort of almost punishes me by me not letting go because I can't, because I'm conformed to this structure. And but what you're saying is a place I would love to have been in my career 20 years ago and stayed there, But I'm guilty of the commercial side and not being able to let go of that. So to hear that from you, to like you say, to stick at it, and it's something that anybody listening to this, photographer-wise, it's like there's one big valuable lesson there is, find who you are and your style, and just keep sticking at it and just getting better, for sure.
In the future, photography is going to have a massive problem that the cameras are going to get smarter and smarter. The software is going to get better and better. You'll be able to create fully retouched images on an iPhone, which is better than anybody's doing today on mirrorless or DSLRs. So the only people in the future that will make a living are people who actually have a style, have a look, and people book you because of your style. They're not booking you because you're a photographer. They're booking you for a style. And I have a lot of clients that make me shoot in color and have an art director and all the things that I don't like, but they pay me very well, so I do it. And I call myself just a button pusher. My job is to go there. Is that all right? Do you like that? You don't like that? I'll move this. I'll move this. I'll do this. Do you like this? Is this? But you like this now? Do you want to tell me when you want me to push the button? And that's how I work. And I charge for that. But that would be half of my commercial work. The other half of my commercial work, and we have clients. We had one recently, twice flew from Germany to Australia for a one-day shoot.
Wow.
Certainly, there's a million photographers in Europe that she could have used.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so the cost is, you think of the cost. She's flown to Australia twice to do one-day shoots with me, and she just let me do what I want to do. She just brought the stuff out. She overlooked what I was doing and gave me a backstory about the feel of their latest campaign.
Mm-hmm.
But then it was just up to me, whatever I wanted to do. We did a tutorial and an editorial about a year ago now. The client wasn't at the shoot. At the end of the shoot, we Skyped her and showed her the images. Well, we actually did it on FaceTime on an iPhone. And we've actually got it on the tutorial of her crying, looking through the phone. She goes, I'm never coming to your studio again. You do such a better job without me there.
Wow, okay.
Oh, shit.
Nice.
Wow.
Well, clients get in the
kudos,
way.
yeah.
They get too emotional about stuff that doesn't really matter, whereas I'm just looking at creating an image that's not a page flicker, that when you're sitting on British Airways stuck on a tarmac and you pull that great magazine that's sitting in the back of the pocket out, that if they get to one of my pictures, they actually stop. And I think that's my job as a photographer.
Yeah, nice. Nice. Yeah, it's a good way of putting it. Yeah, if only we could all shoot without clients in the room, it'd be amazing.
Well, because it's not their speciality. They have their speciality. I mean, I don't hover over them and when they're doing their job and tell them how to do it. So it is kind of weird when it comes back the other way. Diplomacy on set is often heated. Yeah.
Now, Peter, let's get back to the fun stuff. Now, there's no hiding the fact that you love black and white. Yeah, we all know that. Now, obviously you shoot color, of course, but huge amounts of black and white. Now, Jake's completely the opposite. He's a man of a multicolored spectrum with a complexity of rainbow gels all over the place. But what do you love about black and white so much more over color?
I'm just gonna mute you 2 seconds.
if you think about it, 25 years ago, 90% of the great photographers of the world shot black and white.
Mm.
If you think about all the people learnt back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, where'd they start? Darkroom, black and white.
Mm-hmm.
It's where everybody started because they couldn't do colour. It was too expensive.
Same, yeah.
Right.
I learned black and white in the darkroom as well, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So, and all my cameras, if I'm shooting color or video, all my cameras that have a digital viewfinder or they're all set to black and white.
Mm-hmm.
So even when I'm looking through the viewfinder, because if you look at especially the movie cameras and a lot of the TV cameras, all their monitors are black and white. Color confuses you. Color stops you from seeing contrast because you see the color. And quite often I'll say to a group of people, I'll say, look down that street, tell me what you can see. And they'll go, oh, the red sign, the yellow sign. And then I'll take a picture of the camera and say, look on the back of my camera, what can you see? You can now see light. The color is not attracting you to a certain part of the picture. So now I have control about where I want the eyes to go. In the background, when there's a whole heap of colors, they're not attracting the eyes. The next thing, which I didn't know, but I think this is the main reason, is we tend to like stuff we don't see with our own eyes. So what I mean by that
is very true.
Slow motion video is amazing. Time lapse photography is amazing. Aerial photography,
long exposure stuff.
Long exposure, macro, everything that we can't see day to day with our eyes always holds our attention longer. Mm-hmm. And I'm happy for all you guys to stay out there on color, and I'll hold everyone's attention longer on my black and whites.
No, I agree with a portion of that, because especially with the digital cameras and the mirrorless systems, the majority of the time my EVF and everything is set to black and white. So I do shoot black and white EVF, even though I am shooting the image color. I still like to see the tones and everything in black and white. So yeah, I'm similar in that respect. I do switch between the two, but I probably 75% of the time my EVF's in black and white when I shoot. I would love to see Jake shoot with his viewfinder in black and white with his colored gels.
keep dreaming, buddy. Keep dreaming.
Now there's a mission.
I'll be shooting landscape orientation next.
you may jest, but I bet it will happen.
That's all right. I'm going to send Jake a set of black and white gels.
Yeah. Just throw some sepia ones in there for free, and there you got yourself a deal.
The one thing that Jake wouldn't realise is that colour, it does play a major part in my black and white, because I will do my colour channel selection based on the colour within the room. So things like, especially if I'm working with Italian or Greek women, have tend to got a bit of yellow in their skin. So I'll tend to use a blue channel or blue filter on my processing, which will get this beautiful chromie effect. And I was doing a band the other day, and I moved some of the gels around to get the effects I wanted. So I knew I was going to do my processing on green channel out of my Hasselblad software. So I could set my gels up to get the right feel I wanted just by using the color gels to get what colors I wanted to be stronger within the shot and not in the black and white toning of the shot.
That's awesome. Yeah, that is, because it's very few people take the time to do that. Do you ever use filters over the actual lens, colored filters over the actual lens, like we used to do?
I haven't
back in the day.
I haven't done that since I shot film. I had my red, green, blues and that when I was back in film, but I haven't done it only because I can do it so quick and easy, especially in the Hasselblad software.
Well, yeah, that's true. You're absolutely right. With that sort of file, you have way more than enough detail to do any of those pushes and pulls. That's true. Yeah.
And it's the only RAW program in the world now that actually has a red, green, blue channel.
What's that? Focus?
Focus is the only Aperture used to, but no, all the photographers in the world decided that Lightroom was better than Aperture, and that's why Apple don't make Aperture anymore. One of the best RAW convert programs ever made. So simple, and some of the best, very simple controls that did a lot. But if you think of it, Capture One, none of those programs give you red, green, blue. Our cameras shoot red, green, blue. That's all we get. But you want to put magenta and yellow and all these other sliders, you don't give me a red, green, blue slider.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You have to go into Photoshop, into Channel Mixer before you can get a red, green, blue slider. I can do all that work in my RAW, which gets me that one. Like, I'm shooting Sony a little bit more now, and I really struggle to get the same tonality out of the picture because I can't use those sliders in a RAW the way that I can with the Hasselblad.
I used to shoot Hasselblad myself and focus in the early days when it first came out, and I can't I can't remember those sliders. Is that something that's come in recent years?
No, it's always been there, even since Flex Color. So it's under it's under grayscale. You have a red, green, blue channel, and you got 3 sliders.
I mean, I can't remember focus. So, I mean, I use Capture One, but in comparison to Capture One, I mean, in the black and white panel of Capture One, you've got your red, yellow, green, cyan, blue, magenta sliders. Is that different from what's in focus then?
Yeah, because if you move red, you're turning red up and down. Whereas if you move the red channel, you're affecting predominantly blue. So the perfect thing is if I'm going to shoot fine art nude outside on a bright sunny day, right, I'm going to tend to be shooting in red channel. The red channel will make the skin go, because a lot of red in the skin will go white, and it'll make the blue, the opposite, go black.
Mm-hmm.
So you get those beautiful black skies and the white. So it gives me that. We'll try and replicate that look using all those other sliders. It's very, very hard. Whereas if you know that you can just move, you just get on your red channels, you've instantly created that effect. And then you can use your saturation slider to vary the strength of that effect.
Okay. I can't remember that in focus at all. Jesus. It's embarrassing, isn't it? You shoot Hasselblad for years.
I had to do I've been to China a couple of times, and I did a demonstration on how I use focus, and the people from Hasselblad just came up and said, we've never, ever seen it used like that before. I said, this is how it should be used. This is the way it was designed to be used.
Nice.
No way. Huh.
Yeah, that's interesting. That is. But obviously, focus is no good to anybody that's not using a Hasselblad, really, is it?
Yeah, you can plug any camera in except a phase.
Or a Fuji.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. No, I think it takes Fuji. Well, it used to. Fuji's D&G, isn't it?
I doubt it'll. No, Fuji's not. I doubt it will take a medium format GFX file because obviously it's a competitor brand, isn't it? Yeah.
Not sure. You can have a look. I'm talking about only on a Mac too, because the actual raw convert, Mac's doing that work. Mac supplies that, so Hasselblad doesn't have to invest. So if you've got a Mac, I can do my Sony files through there. It's just there are 3 other sliders I want to use. Hasselblad block them for using when in any other camera, but you can still get the red, green, blue channels. You can still use curves. You can still use a lot of that stuff. You just can't use the best thing about focus, which is their shadow fill recovery and their clarity. And they've got 2 stages of that. They've got one for portraiture and skin, which is version 1, and then they've got version 2, which is more for still life, landscape, and architecture.
Okay.
And if anybody wants to know more about this, I did do a free tutorial on my YouTube channel showing how I use focus.
There we go. We can pitch that at the end. Definitely, all the links to your, where you are on.
I think I'll go and check that out myself.
Now, Peter, when we look at your work, there's a lot of beautiful models everywhere in there, Jake. I mean, there's like a ton of pages and pages. So when you're presented with that, like nearly every day, what drives you or inspires you in every new shoot? I mean, is it the model herself, her look? Is it a concept that you've put together, or is it something else that you've pulled creatively?
I meet a lot of models commercially on commercial work, and the ones that I see something that suits my style and something I like, we'll chat about. I'd love to do a shoot with you. I still believe I don't care how big a model you are or how big a photographer you are, unless you test, you're going to be boring, because the test is when you can actually show the world what you can do. You've got nobody else telling you what to do. And I try and test at least once or twice a week, and wherever I'm traveling, I'm always trying to set up tests to meet new people. And if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have get to meet some of the most amazing models I've ever worked with who weren't models when I first shot them.
Okay.
Okay.
And once I connect with a model, I spend a good half an hour with them explaining what I'm trying to do. And when they understand that I really couldn't give a rat's about their boobs, if we're doing implied topless, here's some tape to put over your nipples because I don't need to see them.
Mm-hmm.
That just gets them super relaxed. And a lot of people say, oh, you do lots of nudes. Well, have a look. Most of my stuff is on Instagram and Facebook and that. And we have our own little group, and we bar any picture that has blurred bits or scribbled bits or blocks on them. They're not allowed in our group because that's not how the picture was supposed to be seen. Put it up on a site where you're allowed to see that. Don't destroy your art and then put it up for the world to see. So I shoot a lot of my stuff has to be G-rated. So we pose it that way. So I do everything I can to make my models comfortable. And one thing in my early talk with them is I want to show the world what the closest person in the world gets to see of you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to show the rest of the world what every other photographer is going to get out of you. I want to show the world that if you're playing with your puppy dog, if you've just seen your kid do something amazing, if your husband just said how much he loves you or something, I want the world to see that face. So I spend a lot of time making my models feel the way I want them to look.
Okay, that's cool, man. That's massive.
So when you say a lot of time, you just sat down having a cup of tea with them, talking to them, or are you on set shooting slowly, working your way up to that?
I hope it's not a cup of tea that you've got on your desk, Peter, with that big chunk of ice in it.
Quite a few of them like red wine, but that's all right. I normally do a little bit of talking early on. Whenever a model meets me for the first time, I tell them, you'll never have shot with a photographer like me. For the first 15 minutes to half an hour, you're not going to know what's hit you. You're going to feel really uncomfortable. You're not going to know because I don't want you to model. I'm not interested in you doing the Macarena. And anybody who's worked in the commercial fashion world knows that the girls have 6 or 7 poses and they just repeat them like the Macarena. And the eyes are dead, but they need to be because we're selling dresses. We're not selling beautiful women. When I'm shooting someone, I'm not selling dresses, I'm shooting beautiful women. I want them to see the woman. And if you look very carefully at most of my work, you'll see the eyes. And that's why I say I'm an eye photographer. You should only see the eyes. It shouldn't be what they're wearing or what they're not wearing. It shouldn't be the location they're in. It's their eyes, the expression, the stories that are in their eyes. And that is my job. And some of the girls I say, just pretend you're butt naked and you don't want them to look at your body, your eyes are going to have to be friggin' amazing.
Okay, that's a nice way of putting it.
Draw them up. And I've done that test many, many years ago on one of my own special shoots. I had a girl butt naked with stripper heels on, wearing a balaclava and holding a M16. Mm-hmm. And I said, Jem, I don't want anybody to look at your amazing body. I want them to see your eyes through that balaclava. Okay. And that blown up at 2 meters tall, you cannot look at her boobs.
Wow.
Her eyes demand you to look at her eyes. You'll try and take a drift, but you'll always get pulled back to her eyes. And I think that's where I come from. I'm trying to shoot the soul of a person. I know it sounds corny and wanky, but that's actually, I spend so much time trying to get that emotion that nobody else has got. It's very much what Peter Lindbergh does. And I love the expression he gets in some of his pictures, and especially some of the early work that Russell James has done. I think he's gone a little bit commercial now, but some of his very early work with Adrienne Lima and some of those models, the expressions he got out of those girls are just incredible. But he was shooting them as a model's perspective because he was a model.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, indeed. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That's amazing, man. Your work sounds very personal between you and the model during the shoot to be able to pull that off. But that's strong, man. That's so strong. I think that's an amazing.
It certainly comes across in your images as well, because one of my questions later on was, I'm seeing a lot of eye attention in your shots. So one of my questions here is, why is that? Why do you never have your models looking out of frame? And I think that's answered that perfectly. So yeah, so totally unprovoked. That I'm certainly getting that vibe from your images. I'm definitely drawn to the eyes for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
So
if I have a model that I can't break, guess what? I get them to look away.
You get them to look away.
Yeah, if I can't, and I'm doing something for, say, it might be for a folio for a agency or something, or could even be for a client. Mm-hmm. If I get those insecure eyes and just cannot get anything special in the eyes, I'll get them to look away and gaze. The clients love the pictures, but see, I'll never use it. You won't see me put it up. The odd picture I'll put up, but it's very rare that I'll have a picture that doesn't have the eyes.
There's only a couple of pictures in there that I think they are looking away, but I think they have a very expressive face elsewhere, if you know what I mean. Yeah, it's not like dead looking away. Yeah, they're laughing or something like that.
Yeah, laughing's a different thing.
So if you're working with some of these younger models, some of them may not even be models that they know of, as it were. What advice do you give them when they come to your shoot? You just say, like, just turn up with, no makeup on and we'll work from there, or just bring some heels and some black lingerie and we're just gonna make it work. What sort of advice do you give these young ladies coming to shoot with you for the first time?
I normally say to them, look, got minimal or no makeup. We don't, for the test shoots, the amount of times we don't have hair or makeup. All you have to do is look at all my work and see how many times we actually credit hair and makeup. It's not like I'm a bastard and don't credit them. It's just there wasn't any.
Yeah.
Quite often, if it's someone new, my assistant, she'll just send out, we've got standard letters, just bring boyfriend clothes. We don't want lingerie. Lingerie's boring. Just bring your boyfriend's clothes. Baggy jeans, loose t-shirt, just big oversized jumper, just stuff that's not going to grab the eye too much, and stuff that we can now put the attention where we want the intention. I say the amount of people, especially in the fashion industry or wanting to get in the fashion industry, they get hair and makeup in, they'll put this amazing big hair mess on, put 4 different colours of makeup on their face, throw them into this $60,000 gown, put them in this old castle. Where's the model?
Yeah.
See, I do that for my commercial work, but for my private work, I shoot models.
Yeah.
I don't want all of that. That's all distracting from what I really want to shoot, which is I want to capture the essence and the soul of the person. I know it sounds wanky, but that's what I love doing. And then I haven't done as much of my messed up stuff, only because I've just been so friggin' busy, but it's coming. My storyboards, my books and that overflowing, which I've got to start shooting some again.
And touching on that as well, I mean, the vast majority of your work is black and white portraits of young, beautiful women, and that's obviously certainly what you're known for. But your My Stuff page paints a very different picture of your personal work of Peter Coulson. So what drives you? And we urge people to go and look at that, because the work on it is just absolutely freaking awesome. It's beautiful, beautiful work, quite political in some aspects. So what drives your slightly darker personal work side, your personal projects? Because some of them are very dark, aren't they?
They are.
I don't mean in terms of exposure.
No, yeah. I haven't that work. I don't get to do as much as I want to do, but it is something that we're definitely going to push up more. Once we finish our America trip, we've got set aside a month for me to get a heap of work done, which I've held off for a couple of years of doing. That side, some of it, anything that you see and think it's political, that's my mirrors. And those pictures are more to tell you something about yourself. It's not saying anything about me. It's actually telling yourself about yourself.
Okay.
So the perfect example, if anybody wants to have a look at the picture, there's a pregnant woman wearing stripper heels holding a AK-47, which is classed as a terrorist gun, and she was wearing a burqa on her head.
Mm-hmm. Yep, know it.
So that's got religion in it. It's got what we could take in as terrorism. It's got a pregnant woman. It's got all these things in there, and all it's done is put all of these triggers to trigger how you are in your own, how you think, how you see the world. My story to that, and I'm happy to tell the world, I don't like normally telling stories behind pictures, because I think it's like a book. If you're reading a book about a white picket fence in front of a house with a big old tree, if they show you the picture, they've just killed the book. Mm-hmm. Because everybody's going to have their own picture. Same with a photograph. You shouldn't tell the story of a photograph, because everybody will have their own story.
Have their own interpretation.
But this one I will tell you, because then you can look at the rest of my work in a different eye. So I've had many people say things like breeding the next race of terrorists, a Muslim lady protecting her unborn, all of these different things. Mine was very simple, as when you see a woman out in the streets in a full hijab burqa, so they're pretty much black they've only got the tiny little slit cut out for them to see. You don't know if they're 4 foot tall wearing 12-inch heels, or they're 5 foot tall. You don't know if they're overweight or pregnant. You don't know if they're holding a Versace handbag under there or a gun. You know nothing about that person. That picture's really boring now, isn't it?
No, it's though. I can appreciate the story behind it, but you wouldn't automatically. I don't think everybody would automatically think like that. So that's definitely
Nobody would. That's it. That's the whole idea of the picture, because what you're going to think, if you say political, it means that you look at something with a political. If you say that's religion or that's sacrilegious, or you're just telling yourself this is how your brain thinks when it sees that image. And so a lot of that stuff that's got that twist to it, they're my mirrors. So the story you see will tell you more about yourself than tell you anything about me.
That's a beautiful direction. And not only that, I mean, they're shot beautifully as well. I mean, they're lit beautifully as well. They're just some awesome pieces in there. So,
well, some of that stuff that's the Helmut Newton side coming out. He did a series called Large Women or Large Nudes or Big Nudes.
mm-hmm.
I think it was called Big Nudes. I think Scrawny Weaver was one of the models, and he lit them either with a HMI, constant light, or it was sunlight. But he got this amazing muted blocked up shadow, which had heaps of it wasn't dark blocked up. It was just a weirdish shadow, which I fell in love with. And I spent many an hour setting my one light up to create those shadows. And most of my time in the setup was not so much the lighting on the person, was to create the feel in the shadows.
Painting.
Okay. Yeah.
Just going to say one other thing. There's a few pictures. There's a girl with a tripod with a Hasselblad. There's a girl on a bike.
Yeah.
There's things like that. If you look at some of them, very carefully, they're not so much a hidden story. They're me showing off with lighting. All of them were shot with one light.
One light.
And that lighting was done only with one light, and it wasn't the actual look was what it looked like raw.
Hear that, Jake? It's back to that one light magic again, mate. And it pops up in a lot of our podcasts. I'm a big fan of one light.
Yeah,
Jake,
yeah. You'll grow out of it. You'll grow out
Jake's
of it.
ripped me many a time. Me and Jake used to do live workshops together for Bowens when we were both ambassadors, and the amount of times he used to mock my
One light
wonder. He used to call me.
There's only one sun.
Bloody lazy, that's what it is. I'm on stage working my ass off, earning a decent living. He's up there. I'll just put up one light, turn it black and white.
Who's the mug?
Yeah, I'm not silly.
Unbelievable. Yeah, who's the mug? Yeah, exactly.
So, Peter, your personal work, does that serve a purpose financially for you as well? I mean, are they art pieces that you sell or gallery pieces that become art pieces for people? Or is it just a collection of your personal work?
My wife will love me when I pass one day because she's going to make a fortune out of them.
Don't say that too loud.
There's a I would sell like a lot of the test shoots and that I do, and the stuff that you actually see go up on my social media. We'd most likely sell 15 to 20% at that at full high end commercial rate.
Wow.
So we'll have people ring up and wanting to buy that image for their campaign or and the model's wrapped, and if there's hair and makeup involved, everyone will get a cut out of it. And that's one of the sides of what I'm doing. The other is it attracts clients to book me to shoot colour for some reason.
Okay.
They see the black and white picture.
That is weird. That's so strange.
Well, no, most of them...
That's bizarre.
Most of them are booking me for what I actually do, and they will go and I'll book a model through an agency, and I'll say to the agency, who shot that picture? We want... Whoever got that expression, we want to book that person because we want that expression. So that's more where it comes from. They're not booking me so much for the black and white. But
Gotcha. Okay.
But it's the private work. Yeah, I've been very lucky, especially some of my dancer work. One of my dancer shots did extremely well. The Italian dance company paid me for 3 years usage of 12 images.
Wow.
And it was very well paid. I had another one, Berlin Dance Company paid me for 4 images. The Australian Opera Company have paid me for 3 images. Just it's things like that which they've seen an image and it's telling the story of whatever they're putting on with their production. And at the end of the day, it is so much, this is the picture we want. They're happy to pay 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever for it because it's done, it's there, than have the risk of going and doing a Photoshop and it could end up costing them 100.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because I mean they're only paying usage, whereas if they got to pay usage on top of actually doing the shoot. So if there's a shot there that they love, then yeah, makes sense.
And that's
How are so how are you getting all these images under the right people's noses then? Like if you're getting a lot of that, where are you advertising your shots, or is it just your name is out there and that's that?
My name's out there a little bit. I have my Facebook, my Instagram, and I have a
Yeah, fair enough.
I have a blog which allows me to put up stuff that is not G-rated. I used to use Tumblr until Tumblr decided they're going G-rated, and a nipple is sexual. It's not fashion. I don't understand where the whole world's going. In fact, it's getting really dangerous for women now. The more we cover them up, the more we don't allow boobs to be seen, the more the weirdo men will do anything to see a boob.
to see it. Yeah.
Where you go onto a topless beach, the guys will walk in, all of a sudden their eyes are popping out for the first 2 minutes. Then they just don't give a rat's. The more we try and hide this stuff, the worse we are making it for women. It's a human body. It's a nipple does not mean sex. And unfortunately, Americans, especially through their social media way they run their businesses, are forcing us to think the way they think. I'm very political on this. I really don't like the way the world is going. Go to Europe and it's such a pleasure. The first time I went to Paris, there was a bus drove past and Naomi Campbell's boobs all over the side of it. I thought, this is awesome. And that's how it should be. You go to Brussels and they have these open spas where a 16-year-old girl's sitting naked next to an 18-year-old man and nobody is thinking wrong thoughts.
Nobody bats an eyelid. Yeah, it's natural.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, I had an advertising shot banned over in the US because it had the shoulders and collarbones showing, and it was just like, yeah, no, like we can't use this. That's against our beliefs, and it's like, wow, yeah, it's very very strict.
Yeah.
You can't put an ad on Facebook that's bare-shouldered.
Is that right? Is that really
100% right.
on Facebook?
Really? I didn't know
Facebook,
that. I
if it's
didn't know that.
if you cannot see any clothing that's bare-shouldered, they will not allow you to run an ad.
And yeah, I knew the bare shoulders was a major thing in the more prominent in the US than
Who owns
other
Facebook?
areas. But yeah, that is
Yeah.
interesting. Well,
Yeah,
fair enough.
Who owns
yeah,
Apple?
true.
Who owns Google?
Yeah.
The whole world is being controlled by America. Stop trying to get Brexit in. Just get these European Union strong and kill America. Get boobs on every bus.
That's it.
Boobs on every bus. That's the title of the show, Wayne. You were thinking, what can we call the
do you know
show?
what?
Boobs on every
Mate,
bus.
that-
There you go.
It's gonna be episode
That is
13.
the
Peter
one.
Coulson, boobs on every bus.
Boobs on every bus.
That is awesome when that goes live.
If that doesn't get people to click, nothing else will.
So Peter, would you say we're going to so
Sorry.
put that up as well? We're going to so put that up there. Boobs on
Yeah.
every bus. So Peter, would you say you have a style?
Everyone else tells me. I don't know. My style's a mismatch. I see certain photographers. I normally tell photographers it's so important that you have a style. If you want to be long-term, longevity, and not just shoot crap for other people all the time and get paid to shoot stuff that you love shooting, you actually have to have a look. And the best way to get a look is start collecting images that you find that you absolutely love, especially within the genre of what you're trying to. So it's no good collecting car pictures if you want to shoot fashion. So once you've collected, and you just go to Pinterest, go anywhere where you can find pictures and just copy them into a folder. I have a photo folder in iPhoto, which is called my storyboard. And I just add in there, and then I take pictures out that I don't like anymore, and that just has grown over 15 years.
Guys, if you can hear me, sorry to interrupt.
If I drop any one of my photos into that board,
to have
it sits in there.
my
It
end.
doesn't look alien. It doesn't stand out. It just sits beautiful within all these other images I've collected. So my storyboard is what I should be shooting because that's what I love. In my early days, if I dropped one of my pictures in, it would stand out so alien to the other pictures in there. Like what I was doing photographically was nothing like what I loved looking at.
Okay, still rolling.
So the more and more I would just study and look over these pictures I loved, and didn't study them photographically, I studied them more emotionally. I wasn't looking at what they did with light and things like that. I was looking at what I loved about these pictures, and most of them it was either amazing backstories or hidden stories or, dark sides and things like that. Or the other thing was lots of pictures of incredible expressions. And I just more and more, I still collect photos. I grabbed 30 or 40 photos the other day for the same reason.
And we're just going to take a little break, folks. Don't go away. This is just the end of part 1. Yes, you've listened to nearly an hour already. But we're going to be back soon with part 2. It's going to follow straight on from this. And we're going to dive a little bit deeper into the world of Peter Coulson. And we're going to get into the business side of things next. And remember, the man wants more boobs on buses. Don't go away, and we'll see you in part 2.